Stephanie, thank you again for doing this. Our Careers Pathway also want to really thank you. They've been a part of this. At White Bear Lake, we have 5 now career pathways where we have, her name's Jenny Moore, who's directly in charge of helping students find careers. So
Okay.
we have our counselors, we have our career or college advisory, and now we actually have career pathway. So automotive is the new one for this year. We're one of the first in the state to have automotive. So on behalf of them, we really thank you for doing this.
Yeah, no problem.
So let's start off basic with your background and where you're at now. So you're a 5th generation auto worker, is that correct?
Yeah, that's for sure.
So you grew up in a very strong automotive family.
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up watching an automotive family. So my grandpa, through my great grandpa and great great grandfather, they were all in the automotive field. My grandpa's right now an automotive instructor at Gateway Technical College in Kenosha. So I kind of always grew up watching it, but I wasn't sure that that's something I was going to do back then. And so then I actually started in high school. I started taking automotive classes back then. And it was just something that I really liked doing. You know, you're driving cars and whatever. So it was something good to learn too. But I really kind of got into it more at that time. And it was something that I just wanted to look into further.
It's interesting. I'm the same as you. I started back in high school too. I started on, I wasn't a very studious student for, core classes. I did really well in math and tech ed classes and like hands-on stuff. And like the others, it wasn't for me. And I was kind of like the same with you, where I started small engines and it's like I found out I was pretty good at it. And then you go to auto, it's just like maybe this is something that interests me. So it's awesome that you found that back in high school and that your high school had that program.
Yeah, it was really cool that we had that. I mean, I was the only girl in the class then, but it was really cool. My brother and I did it together. So it was a lot of fun. And I mean, it was just a really good way to get started with it, to really see what everything I'd grown up watching, like how they actually did it. And there's a lot more to it than I guess I ever realized prior to that. So and it was just a lot of fun and a good way to get started, I think, at least in high school.
Is there any projects that you did in high school that you remember most from automotive?
Yeah, so we took our high school teacher's car apart, and then class was over, and then it was left on the lift. And yeah, but I mean, he was great. We didn't have a lot of big projects, but we were doing small engines at the time. So for 2 years, and then we got into working on the teacher's vehicles. So we got to learn just like a little bit, but it was really fun because he always had new projects, and then he always had us rotate who was doing the tools that day. So we kind of got into the tool room early on too, as far as checking them out, signing them in, and then he would rotate who was running the tool room that day. So it was kind of cool because he got us a lot of different experiences all within a really like small window of a class.
That's awesome. He's a brave teacher for letting you tear his car apart.
Yeah, he really is. He really is.
But since then, right after high school, did you go to school for automotive, or did you do something else in between?
So I really kind of bounced back and forth. I dabbled in it like on the side, and then I really got heavy into wanting to race. And so I would try to build those cars, but I wasn't doing it for a job at the time. So I was kind of into it, but then I kept trying different fields. People kept suggesting I try this or I try that. So, I would try different fields and then kind of just see where I was at. I actually started in law school, which is funny because it's so far from where I'm at now. But I went for this, I went for that, I tried a few things, and then I just kept coming back to it. So the more you race your cars, the more you break them, and the more you have to learn about them. And so I kept coming like full circle around back to working on them, and then I really just started trying different positions in the field at that point.
That's awesome. A lot of people's careers come out of necessity. It ties back to the original craftsmen and women, back when with blacksmith, and they did it out of necessity. So how you started with racing and you needed to fix your car so you could race your car.
Yeah.
It's a vicious cycle when you race.
It really is. It really is. Yeah.
You have a 9-to-5 job so you can afford racing, and then you race because it's just a complete circle over and over again.
Pretty much. That was pretty much my day. Yeah.
So then after that, you went to college for automotive.
Correct.
And then did you work out in the field before you owned your own shop, or did you go straight to owning your own?
No, so I was working in the field quite a bit actually, and I was kind of running into some challenges and then, some great places too. And so I decided to finally go and finish my degree, but in automotive. So most of my gen eds were done. I just moved right into the automotive program itself. And then after I graduated, I went back out into the field to work and then ran into some more, things, and you pick up different experiences and things that I wanted to see differently. So I kind of took a combination of finding some of those challenges with not even getting a call for the job, being, a woman in the field, or some were great, don't get me wrong, but then some of them really encouraged me on my own to go ahead and just find like how I'm going to fit in this world and like where I'm going to do that. So I saw a lot of different things too, as far as customers, just ways that I could really make some changes in this field and what I can do. And that ended up just being opening my own. I kind of just decided I was going to do it. And I spent about a year planning, figuring out what I'm going to do. I found a location, and then I brought back the original garage that my family had in Michigan. And I actually did it as a surprise. Like they didn't know that's what it was going to be called. So
That's really awesome.
yeah, so it was fun. It was a fun surprise.
And you've owned that, that open in 2017, right?
Yes.
And since then, one of your main mission of your shop is to bridge that gap between technician and customer, right?
Yes.
So what is, a lot of my students are kind of new to the automotive world. And we've talked a little bit about the shop side, what technicians are. One of my classes is car care, where we take somebody that knows nothing about cars and make them informed consumers. We're not trying to make them technicians, but we try to make them so if they go to a shop and a tech says, hey, your tires are at 230 seconds, your brakes are at 530 seconds, and your struts are leaking. What does that mean? So what have you been trying to do? What is that barrier, and how have you been trying to overcome that?
So we actually do something really similar here. So we do monthly auto clinics. I mean, not right now with everything going on, we're not able to host them, but normally we do monthly auto clinics. They're always on completely different topics and they're free for our customers. And a lot of that is really hands-on and in-depth. So part of that time will be spent where we're just talking to them, explaining to them safety things, important topics. And then that same topic is carried over into the shop so they can learn everything from how to check the fluid levels and how to do that safely in those clinics to also how, they can check the information. So where they can find those resources. So if someone does come out to them and say, hey, you need this, 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 and this, they can have a better understanding of their personal vehicle. I mean, we teach them specifically about theirs or something they would drive so that they can connect that and they can really kind of understand. And then they also know where to go back and find those resources so they can make more of an educated decision for their personal vehicle as far as what's important to them. Do they really need this? And if they don't know, where they can find that information. And that's something they can take anywhere with them, across the country. They can take that anywhere. So that's one of the ways we do that here. A lot of what we do here too, it's really one-on-one. So we have a really close one-on-one relationship with a lot of our customers. On average, we spend a lot more time than most of the places I've worked with each customer. And so we really kind of go through, we show them anything, what we found again, and kind of explain it in that way too. So even if they aren't coming to those auto clinics, we're kind of doing that step by step through every single time we see them. And then over the time, we've just built that relationship with them so they know what they're looking for. But we also give them ways to know what questions to ask, so we can understand better where they're at, what they know for knowledge, what they don't know. And that just really helps kind of bridge that gap between, I think, the automotive industry in general and the consumers. Is it just really comes down to a lot of times they just don't even know what questions to ask, or they don't know, they don't even know that a lot of places let you do that. I mean, a lot of places, they probably feel like they have to go in, drop off the keys and leave. And they really should be able to have that where they can interact one-on-one, have the same text and, have the same service writer. And then they can really build that so they always know they can ask those questions and there's no stupid question for their car.
I've tried to teach my auto kids that, if you go out in the field, try to talk with customers.
Yes.
Sometimes you don't want to talk with customers. Sometimes it's better to let the service advisor do it. But my background is I'm worked on Mini Coopers, and we'd sell a lot of bigger jobs or try to sell bigger jobs. And I found if I could bring a customer back in my bay with their car on the lift and actually show them and explain to them, you know,
Exactly.
I can't just replace your strut mounts and then do alignment. I need to do sway bar bushings or the control arm bushings too, because
Right.
the alignment won't hold and you're just wasting your money. And, you
Right.
know, when you can build those relationships and they actually see a face with it, it helps the customer understand what you're doing and also helps you as a tech because it keeps working your stall.
Exactly. And then they really do learn to trust and understand what you're saying. And then when you build that relationship with them, I think that's the most important part. We have customers that literally come in now just to show us pictures from their vacation, but they feel like they can do that and they work with us really closely. And we have found that that's made a huge difference, especially if there ever is a mistake or you forget something, or, you know, because every single tech is human and they're going to make errors at some point, and that's okay, you know, as long as they can work closely with them. And I found that customers are a lot more they're a lot more willing to work with you through those tough situations too, when they know that it's a real person that they're working with.
It really helps. You know, a lot of the automotive industry, you're fighting that old notion of who would you rather trust, your mechanic or your lawyer, you know.
Yeah, exactly. There's
I've
a
also
big
told I've told my, you know, students a lot of times there's two really fast ways to get fired from a job. Leave a tire loose on a car because you didn't torque
yeah.
it, and, you know, do bad work for a customer on purpose to make more money for your pocket. You might get away with it a couple times, but you'll be
Yeah.
caught and you'll be out the door because it's their reputation on the line.
Exactly. I think my techs, so I'm the head tech in our shop, but the rest of my techs, they will tell you when I die, they're putting it on my tombstone that it's going to say, did you retorque? Because that is the one thing that they know I will ask them all day, every day, did you retorque? But now it's to the point where they understand why, and, you know, why we push that kind of thing. And it's just a funny joke in our shop now. But, you know, yeah, I mean, selling work that isn't needed, that's the quickest way to lose their reputation, and then they won't come back. And, you know, sometimes you have to lose that up front by just being honest with them and saying this isn't worth fixing, but they always come back. Then when you're upfront and honest about it, they do come back.
You might make an extra dollar now, but you lose on them $5 later, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
At your garage, you're the lead tech. Is there a certain vehicle or make that you know, specialize on, or a certain type of work you guys specialize in?
Yeah, so we are Subaru specialized. I mean, we work on everything. We do a lot of performance builds though here, and we do a lot of performance modifications. A lot of that comes from the local Subaru group. I mean, we do work on everything, but that would be where we both had the most, me and the other head tech have the most training in. But we do everything at the same time. We do restorations, we do automotive service and repair, detailing. But I would say the best part of our day is the performance and the custom builds that we do for people.
Especially once you get to go test drive them, you got to make sure you did the work right.
I know, exactly. It's great.
That was always my favorite part of after you do a major job, like on minis, we do a lot of timing chains or
Hmm.
supercharged replacements. Well, you had to go out and make sure that you did your job right, and those were always fun test drives to make sure, you know,
Exactly.
you did your job right. That's one of the fun things about working at shops. I worked at a few dealerships, and we had to look at, you know, used vehicles that come in, and you get to
Yeah.
drive some special vehicles. That's one of the highlights of working in automotive. You don't have to
Yeah.
spend your money on these high-end vehicles. You can drive customer ones and see what it's like.
Yeah, it's definitely not boring. You get to find and try a lot of different cars, and I swear you learn every car you never want to own too.
It is true. It's just,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's just that you don't fit in that car very well. You know,
Yeah.
I tell kids, you know, especially the car care one, we talk about what you should look at when you buy a vehicle. And it's like,
Yes.
make sure you go sit in a few of them, because do you want to sit in that vehicle, you know, for 300 miles, or maybe it's not the most comfortable
No.
vehicle for you. And so that was one of the things of when you work on cars, you get to experience a lot of different ones.
Yeah, that's for sure. There's a lot of fun with that.
So as the owner of Worcester Garage, I'm guessing you had to do some hiring throughout the years. What do you look for in potential people applying for you?
So for me, I guess I do it a little bit backwards because everybody thinks that in automotive, the most important thing is their credentials as far as how many certifications they have. Yeah, certifications are really important to me, but the biggest thing I look for is attitude. how they work with others, and like their willingness to learn and try new things, because around here it's always changing. There's always something coming at us. There's always a new project, a new build. And if they're trustworthy and if they're honest about things, they just really have to have a passion for the field and helping others, because if they don't have quite as much experience or quite as much education as they want to get somewhere, they'll get there as long as they have that passion. But if they don't have the right attitude, they're not coming in the door. This last year I went through 80 applications before I hired my most recent 2 employees.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because you run a pretty small shop. How many techs do you have?
So right now there's 4 of us in the shop, and then I have 2 people I'm mentoring, and then I have the rest are staff for like office service writing, service manager, all of that. So yeah, right now there's 4 main techs.
That's crazy. 80 applications for 2. That says a lot about your shop. So kudos to you on that.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a lot of fun. It's good. Hiring's weird. It's not something I guess I knew I was going to get into this much, but it's good. And I mean, that's really the biggest thing for me is their attitude when they come in. And I've found, I swear, the best employees right now. I have them. They're so much fun to work with every day.
That's awesome. And also, because I'm guessing people come right to you to interview, and a lot of people don't realize that the interview process starts, before you even submit that application. It's that first interaction, how you come in and present yourself says a lot too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you want to look like you're applying for the job you're applying for. I mean, I can't tell you how weird it is when someone comes in to apply for a tech position and they're wearing a full suit. I mean, you want to know who they are in real life.
Yeah, it's an interesting process,
Yeah.
making sure you try to, show off your, what you can bring to the table without overselling it, so you don't underdeliver. It's an interesting process, and a lot of the times it's doing it over and over again. You might not get your first one, but every time you can apply for a job or interview for a job, it's a learning experience. So the next time you're a lot better at it.
Exactly. Yeah.
What advice would you have for our high school students, especially our female students that want to go into like the automotive industry or any trades?
So I think any of the students, but especially women, I mean, if it's something that they want to get into, I would really encourage them to just focus on that and to make it happen, but to acknowledge the fact that there are going to be challenges. Yes, it's going to be tough. No, you are not going to fit in everywhere, and that's how it's going to be, but you can find somewhere that you can do it. So if it's something that you want to do, you really just need to go for it and commit to that, because if you don't know why, where you want to be and what you want to do, it's going to be a lot harder to get through some of those obstacles. I would have never guessed the amount of pushback I would have gotten in this field 15 years ago when I started to where I am now. I would have never guessed that I was going to see all of those challenges. There's a lot of really good things that have come with it too. But I mean, even if it's not, one of the girls, if for any of them, if it's something that they want to do, they really need to just push really hard and figure out where they want to be, what they want to do. Try everything. There's so many positions in this field. There's service writing technicians, detailers, there's sales, there's parts, there's so much out there that they can do. So they really just need to get into that field, and they need to make it happen, because there's a shortage for techs. First of all, there's a shortage for anyone in this field. And I think we're going to see that more apparent as time goes by. But I mean, women, yeah, they're going to run into challenges. They really are. But if it's something they want to do, they also need to find people that they can go with, like they can mentor with, somebody that can push them through some of that. Now, there's a lot more women working in this field right now than there were even 5 years ago. So they can always find someone else. You can always connect with other people and network. And that's a really good way to kind of get around that. But I mean, it kind of does start by just accepting the fact that there are going to be those challenges. So, okay, you decide you want to do it. There's going to be challenges. Now move forward.
When I heard you speak at the Wisconsin Tech Ed Teacher Conference a couple of years ago, there was a certain certification or stamp shops could have for female friendly. I forget what that was called. What can you speak about that?
Yeah, so there's a program called Ask Patty where shops can go and they can learn about how to interact more with women. Like even the shops that don't have any women working there right now, but they want to kind of reach out and get closer to those customers and find out what it is that women are really looking for when they come to the shops. Because believe it or not, a lot of your women customers they make up the majority of the buying power, anyways, that is in this field. So if you're neglecting that side completely, whether it's for your customers, whether it's for your coworkers. I mean, it's just a really good way to kind of look into it in general and kind of get the idea of why there's still such a difference there. Because I think a lot of the facts will really surprise people, and they're not going to realize that there's a lot of that going on still.
I always find it interesting, and I talked with my administration about it, about the job out there for automotive. I'm like, there's hundreds of thousands of jobs right up now,
Yeah.
and the automotive industry kind of turned their shoulder on 50% of the population because of females. Through my time in automotive, I've met a few very good. Uh, under a pause, it was Ask Patty, right?
Yes, Ask Patty.
There was a question in the reiterate. It was Ask Patty for that information about female-friendly shops and what
Correct.
they can do. And I've met a few. It has been a lot of females out there, but I've met a lot of good female techs that can outwork a lot of the guys. And I find it surprising that the automotive industry wants to fill these jobs, but they keep turning their shoulder to half the workforce.
Yeah, they really do. And so there's some good and there's some bad there. And I think it can really get better with the younger generation. So actually, like a lot of your students, I mean, the guys might not realize that it is even an issue. They haven't seen it yet, but I mean, they can make a huge change with that too. So when they get out into this field, don't treat them any different. You know what I mean? They're aware that it's a problem right now. So when they get out into this field, they can still be friends with them. They can work right next to them. They can offer some help, knowing that a lot of times when one of the girls leaves the school and goes into the workforce, a dealership or wherever, they don't have anyone they can ask. They're not even, where's the scanner, where's this, because a lot of times they turn their shoulder to them. So, a lot of times the guys can help with that, and the women just have to be really outgoing and just kind of go for it anyways and find those people that they can connect with. So I think as the years go on, it's definitely going to get a lot better. And I really hope it does get a lot better. But yeah, it still has a ways to go.
It's always those little steps,
Yeah.
like you owning your own shop is a big step, in progress.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's always a work in progress. Yeah.
We've talked kind of about you being successful from, getting to own your own shop, you run your own shop, you're the lead technician at your shop. How would you define success?
So I think success actually never looks the same to anyone. I think it's really something that's always evolving. So you can hit goals and then you create new ones every day. So for me, part of that is like I love coming to work every day. So I would consider that my success right now. Yes, it's great to say I have my own shop and I've made it through a lot of challenges and I love what I do and I have a great staff. We have so much fun. We race little go-karts around back, like little dirt bikes and stuff in our free time. I mean, we have a lot of fun. And I think that's where I'm at right now and how I'm defining my success at the moment. But part of that too is that you have to keep looking for ways to improve and then moving forward and creating new goals. So to me, I know a lot of people will try to define their success by their money or by their status and all of those things. And part of that is just where you're at right now, and are you hitting the goals you've set for yourself currently?
You say you always like to make new goals. What's some goals you're trying to reach for now?
So we have expanded a lot quicker than I thought we were. So we are next year going to be looking for a second location. So
Wow.
yeah, so that's really big. That's going to be a lot. And we are putting together a performance only dealership. So the only thing we'll be selling are like performance cars or of some base or some value so that we can work with that customer base specifically because that's what we love to do so that we can work on doing that. So that's what we're working on right now. We're going out, picking up new cars, looking at cars, things that we can rebuild and then finding people that we can work with on that because we think that would be a lot of fun. So I think that's for us, our biggest thing right now is working on a second location. That's our goal. So for next year, we want to have that up and running and we want to have all of that, just I don't know, going for us.
Good luck. That sounds like
Thank
a
you.
lot of fun. Performance
Yeah.
always sounded like a lot of fun to work on. Getting
Yeah.
to, it's a way different client base, for what, I'd see at the dealership. At the dealership, we see a lot of people trying to just keep their car on the road because they need to get to work
Right.
the day. When you work performance, it's, people that are spending money to have a fun car, and,
Yeah.
still have fun in it. It's a lot different atmosphere and clientele.
It
So
really is.
it always seemed like that'd be a lot of fun to start building cars. So I'm kind of
Yeah.
jealous of that.
Oh, well, you can always come check it out anytime. It's a lot of
I'll,
fun.
I will have to once
Yeah,
all this clears up. Once I can leave my house again, I'm looking forward to that day. There's only so
absolutely.
much. There's only so much I can do in my house. I feel like I pace back and forth in front of the window a lot.
That's fair enough. You can always come here and pace in front of our windows. It's fine.
Well, thank you. Um, what has made working in the automotive field rewarding for you?
So for me, I guess, obviously I love what I do. I love working on cars every day, but I really like working with the customers. I like just getting to meet them, getting to know them. I mean, I've made a lot of really good friends that way, but it's also the people that I've met that also work in the field. So to me, it's kind of just a combination of those things. And then finding little things that I think could be improved upon or made better, like in the field, especially between the automotive industry and those customers, because there really is kind of a stigma still. Not everybody thinks that the automotive industry is great. So it's challenging, and that's what I like is I love being hands-on, but I also like tackling problems and just trying to find ways to do it. And then I love meeting new people in this field. So I think part of that for me is like it's just this weird group of friends, whether you know it or not at the time. So that's part of it for me is it's just really rewarding in general all the way around.
I I've had many jobs, through my years, and it's always one of the common factors that I've enjoyed about all the jobs has been the customers. It's really interesting how you become friends with some of your customers. When I
Yeah.
first went back to college, I managed a gas station at night, and that was about a year and a half, and I had the same customers come in, several times a week. And my girlfriend would be like, "How do you know this person?" I'm like, "They're my customer." I'm like, "I really don't know them, but I see them every day. It seems like we've known each other for forever." It's really neat how once you start building those relationships with your customers, and they'll start coming back just because of that relationship.
Exactly. Yeah, we love that. We get to see them regularly, and it's just a lot of fun building those relationships. Yeah.
I'm going to pause for a second. We have a few people in here now. I'm going to see if anybody has a question at this point. If you have
Okay.
a question, go ahead and type them into the chat. It should pop up on your screen too, Stephanie, but I'll read them if anybody has questions.
Okay.
We'll give it a moment. I will continue on, and if there's ones that pop up. Oh, what is the biggest horsepower car you have built?
Thank you. That's a fun one. I don't know exactly where we're at on it right now, but I can tell you 900s range is where we're at because I can't count my personal cars that I've had over the years. So I would say the 900s range, but we're going back on the dyno soon. So I can let you know.
It's always fun once you get to that certain horsepower when you step on the gas and it throws you back in the seat. That's when you know you start making power.
Yeah, our problem with this one at this point is how to get it to even contain it at this point, because you don't want to twist anything, and that's kind of what we're running into. Is we've got to make sure it's solid, but it's a drag car for someone at GLD, which is Great Lakes Dragway, if you know where that is, kind of down by Kenosha. So
Okay.
yeah, so we're gonna find out in the near future.
That's awesome. At that new performance shop, are you going to have a dyno then too?
Yes.
It's
Yeah, that's a must.
at UTI, one of the courses, for the first 3 weeks, you tear apart a Chevy 350 small block and mic everything and measure everything and find your piston, the cylinder wall clearance and all that. And then the second part of the course, the next 3 weeks, is you put them on T-buckets and run them on the dyno. So
Yeah.
you first start with the stock engine, and then I think we put an intake in it, and then we eventually put or a air cleaner in it, and then we put a camshaft in it, and then we put a new intake in it, and then we got to use nitrous oxide. And it's crazy how, you have 10 big ratchet straps holding you down, and you pull that cord, because ours just had a pull level and it didn't have the pedal because it was pretty basic T-buckets, and how they start lifting up. It's just that much power. It's fun to drive those.
Yeah.
It's a lot different than, all my cars I've owned only had inline fours in it. So once you go from an inline four to something like that, it's just like, that's way different.
Yeah, that was like my national too. So my Grand National is the same way. I was so excited to build that one, and then I was like, it's a little bit different than what I was thinking before.
I've also got to drive a few of the, it was a Grand Cherokee SRT, their performance one, and going on the highway, you put down the pedal and you can break free all 4 tires going down the highway. It's just like, holy cow.
Yeah.
It's a different driving experience. It's fun.
It really is. It's so much fun though. Like, I feel like everybody should get involved in it, but I mean, I'm working on that, and so far not everybody's taking my offer, so we'll see.
And as the owner, you're going to have to test drive all the cars and make sure your stamp of approval's on each one, right?
Exactly. It's really fun though, because a lot of times they invite us to the track with them, so that's even better.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We've talked about how you've tried to bridge the gap between the barriers between customers and the shops. And one of our group of students that are in here are students that are just trying to be informed consumers. What's 3 pieces of information you think all vehicle owners should know about their vehicles, or how to do?
Yeah, so I think the most important is how to properly and safely check like the basic fluids and tire pressures, especially when customers don't understand coolant and opening that radiator cap, and that's a big one. So that is something that we always stress like right off the bat with customers, especially through the auto clinics, because obviously what can happen otherwise. So that is a big one for me. And then where they can find that information, so they know what their tire pressure is supposed to be, so they look at the door. But that in general, I think, is the most important, so they know, is their oil level good? Is it low? Is it over full? Because sometimes customers too will not be sure, and then they'll overfill their engine. So, that's the basics. I think is the first thing they should do, is know how to properly check their fluids and where to find that information. But we also think it's really important that customers know how to change a tire on the side of the road. I mean, it's one thing to show them how to do it on the lift and how to lift it properly, but realistically, they're going to need to do it on the side of the road. So that's more important, and that they know if they do have a spare or not, because not every car even comes with a spare tire. So, that's kind of the second thing that we always try to work with our customers on. And some of them individually, we let them know, like, your car does not come with a spare tire, something a lot of them didn't even know that. So they can know how to do that. And then I think the basic items to keep in their car for traveling in particular, I mean, what they should have all the time. But, in Wisconsin, obviously, same by you guys, there's a lot of winter weather, things like that. They need to know the items that they should always have in their car, especially if they're traveling during those times.
One of the labs I make all the car care students do is change we've flat tire, we don't flatten a tire, but they need to take everything out of the trunk and use only hand tools in the jack. I tell them, I'm like, do you want to be the person on the side of the road trying to flag somebody down, or do you want to be somebody that can help themselves and get down the road? Because you never get a flat tire at a convenient time. It's never convenient.
You really don't. And then you're also trusting those people that are driving down the side of the road. And, there's a lot of really good people, but there's also maybe some not so great people out there. And, it's always a gamble. So it's great if you know how to do it, and it's something that never even occurs to you that other people don't really know how to do it. But it's a gamble too. Do you really want, your little sister stuck on the side of the road and hoping whoever happens to stop is a good person?
Yeah, that is another, you're trusting whoever stops.
Yeah.
That is a very good point. The last question, unless somebody else has questions, we have a couple people, that might ask. My last question, because I want to be respectful of your time. If you could go back and give your younger self 3 pieces of information to help you, along life's way, what would you give yourself for advice?
So I would say the first thing is to never let other people's opinions or like their advice or any of that define you, and just to kind of figure out what you want to do and go for it. Because yeah, I went back and forth through a lot of different programs in school. I would get into the automotive field, and then people would kind of push me a different way. Maybe you should try this, or the comments. And so I would try other directions. And so I think that's a big thing where that would be the first thing I would have told myself, is to really just go for it the first time around and to really stick with it, and to really not worry about those opinions. I think that's one thing for me in particular, just based on where I'm at. I think second thing is every single opportunity, especially like throughout high school, I never realized that all the stuff I was learning through like the auto classes or shop classes, all of those experiences are really helpful. Even when you get out, work experiences, there's always something you can pick up everywhere, even if you don't realize that it is going to apply later. So for me, I had worked in detail, I had worked in parts, I did sales, and never realized that all of that collectively was going to come back to a lot of much needed information right now. And the one thing that everybody always laughs when I say this, you always have to keep track of your 10 millimeter socket, and those memes are 100% accurate, because my shop teacher used to say that all the time, and I was like, okay. And no, you really have to keep track of your 10 millimeter sockets.
It's true. At the beginning of the year, we started as basic as what tools are. So I go through and we talk about what flathead screwdriver compared to a Phillips screwdriver are, or a Torx. And then one of the activities we do for review for the quiz is we did a tool hunt. So they each get in a group, and I put up a clue up on the board of what they had to go look for. And this last time we did it, one of them was a 10 mil socket, and a lot of them we're not going to find any. I'm like, well, we started with 12 of them out there, so there should be 12 of them out there.
I know. I don't know where they always go to, but I mean, it's true. I never thought it was 10 millimeters. It's true.
It is. And like, I look in my toolbox, and I've gone through quite a few 10 mils, and it's just like, I don't know. They fall off your ratchet, they bounce, and they disappear. You drop an 8 mil, you'll find it right away. You drop a 10 mil, you'll never find it.
There you go. I know.
Well, I really appreciate your time. I really thank you for participating in this with us. It's been a great experience. So I really thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
We look forward to hopefully keeping this relationship going. I think you have a lot to offer, especially, all of our students, especially those females that are thinking about automotive careers. So thank you for this.
Yeah, anytime. I mean, I'd be happy to help anytime, or if they ever want to come this way and just, I don't know, bum around in the shop. So
will do. Well, thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy your weekend.
You too.